Hello everyone, welcome to Shark AI. My name is Chandan Saswat and today I am going to show you the important functions in the Python. Actually, I am not covering the basic functions of the Python. You can refer any of the internet document. I am just going to cover the important functions in the Python which is required for data science or which we will be using in Pandas or Django. So we'll start with the lambda function. So we'll first see how to double a number using our own function, and then we will see the same thing using the lambda function. So we will double a number using our own function. So we are defining our own function. Suppose we are passing y and then we are returning y into 2. Now any number we want to double, we'll just use the function and the number which we want to double. So when we are passing 2, we are getting 4. Okay, the same how we can write in the lambda function is, so as you can see, the lambda, we have to give the argument and the expression. So suppose we have double equals to lambda, the argument. So suppose we have the argument x. So okay, given y, so I'll maintain the same thing, y, and now the expression y into 2. Okay, so now we will just print the value of double. Now we are passing the value 2 and it will return us the 4. So this is the way how the lambda functions work. Now how it works in the conditional statement. Okay, so suppose we have a variable dub equals to lambda, a variable x, that is the argument, and then the argument we are returning the double of it if the number is divisible by 2, equals to 0, else we are returning x into 3. Okay, so now we'll just check DOUP and then we are passing 4. Since 4 is divisible by 2, so it will return 8. So, and some number which is not divisible by 2, then it will return into 3, that is 9. So this is how the conditional expression works. Now using the two arguments in the lambda functions. Okay, so suppose a variable t equals to lambda, argument 1 is a, second argument is p colon, and the expression. So suppose a plus p I am returning if a is divisible by 2, else I am returning a minus b. Okay, I am just executing it and I am printing. So as you can see, so 4 is divisible by 2 and the b is 5. So it will just pick the first condition and it will return 9. Okay, suppose some number that is not divisible by 2, so it will return a minus b, that is 9 minus 4 equals to 4. So this is the lambda function. Now we'll see the map function. So now the map function. So what is map function? So it is used when you want to apply a single transformation function to all the iterable elements. So we'll see how it works. The syntax is map function comma iterables. Okay, so we'll see with the one iterable. So suppose we have a list y, it has some values 1 2 3 4. Now we want to multiply all its value by 3. So we will define a function. We'll define a function mul, and we will pass the value, and then we will return x into 3. Now suppose we have a variable z is equals to map. As the syntax says, we have function, so mul comma the iterable, that is y. Now when we will execute this and try to print the value of z, as you can see that it gives a map object. So how we'll print this is, we'll just write a list of z. So now it will give the values. So as you can see that each value of y is multiplied by 3. So it's 3 6 9 12. So this is the one iterable case. So how we can see in the multiple iterables. We'll check now multiple iterables. So suppose we have 3 values, that is y1, y2 and y3. So these 3 values, what we want to do is, we want to multiply first element with the each list first element, that is 1 into 1 into 1, and then 2 into 2 into 2. So it should be returning one list with the values of 1, 8, and the third value multiplication and the fourth value multiplication. So the same we can do by using the map function. So the map, then multiply the function. Okay, function we have not written, so we'll write the function def multiply, and then suppose we have 3 arguments x, y and z, and then return x into y into z. So this is the function is defined, and suppose we have a value is equals to map of function, that is mull, and the iterable. So iterables, we have 3 iterables, y1, y2 and y3. So okay, y1 is not defined. Mull. Okay, actually we have not executed this cell, so now it's okay. So y1, y2, y3. So when you try to print the value of val, it will give you the same map object. So when you want to print it, you have to give it the list val, and it will return you 1 8 27 and 64. So this is how the map function works. We'll see now how the map function works with the lambda function. Map with lambda function. So suppose we have a iterable y that has the same values 1 2 3 4, and we just want to double the value of it. So z is equals to list and then map. Actually list you can also write at the time of printing, but I'm writing it here, list map, and the function. So function we are going to use as a lambda function. So lambda x into 2 and now the iterable, that is y. So this whole works as our function, and this is the iterable, and this is the value of y. So when we'll execute it, so print z. So as you can see that it is giving the value of 2468. Same way you can work with the multiple iterables with the lambda function. So now we'll see the filter function. The filter method filters the given sequence with the help of a function that tests each element in the sequence to be true or not. Syntax of it is filter, the function, and the sequence. So we'll see that how it works. So let's say that we have a list y, it has a value 1 2 3 4 5, and let's define a function. We just want to filter it so that the number which are divisible by 2 will be returned. So suppose def filter filter, we are taking an argument as x, and then if x divided by 2 equals to 0, then return x. So if the value is divisible by 2, we are returning the value. Okay, so this is the function and this is the array, so which we want to filter. So z equals to filter, as the syntax says, function plus sequence. So function here is filter filter and the sequence is y. So then let's print the value of z. So as you can see that it is a filter object. So how to print the values of it is just give it the value of list. So as you can see, the 2 and 4, which is divisible by 2, so we have the value of z, 2 and 4. So how to use it with the lambda function? So we'll see that lambda function using the filter function. So suppose we are using the same y, 1 2 3 4 5. So z equals to filter the function, so lambda argument expression x, if x divisible by 2, else none, then iterable is y. So this is our z. Let's print the value of z. It will be a map, so we'll just write list of z. So we'll be getting the same 2 and 4. Okay, so this is how the filter works with a function and with a lambda function. So now we are going to see the gif function. The gif function takes iterables, can be 0 or more, aggregate them in a tuple and return it. So what is the syntax of it? Syntax is zip and the number of iterables. You can give 0 or more iterables here. So we'll see with an example. Suppose we have a list. You can say that y equals to 1 2 3 4, and you have a string list. Suppose that is equals to 1, or better we'll see that a, then b, c, and d. Now we want to zip these two arrays. So what we'll do is we'll execute this, we'll go to the next cell, and then result equals to zip of y and str list. Okay, and we'll print result. Okay, so you can see the result is also a zip object. So when you want to print it, we have to print it in a list. Okay, so you can see we are getting a list with a tuple. So basically it's a list of tuples. So you can see that the first element of 1 and a is in that tuple, the second one is 2b, third one is 3c, and fourth one is 4d. So zip is basically zipping these y and string list into a tuple of a list. Now how it works in the loop in a zip, for loop in zip. So how does it work? So suppose we have suppose some names are there, that is okay, and we have some ages, that is suppose 23, 24 and 25. Okay, so we are using a for loop for name and age in zip, names and ages, and then print name and age. So you can see that we have zip these two names and ages. We are taking it as a name and age and printing it. So this is how the it works in a for loop. Okay, when you want the both the values in a loop, then how you can take, by using the help of zip. So we are getting both the values at the same time. Okay, so how zip works in enumerate. Okay, so the same thing, names and ages we'll use. So for I comma, so we are taking this name and age in enumerate, zip, and then names and ages, and now we'll print I. So basically it will give you the index, the name and age. So you can see that how it works in the enumerate. So we are taking the values of name and ages, and I will give you basically the index. So it is zipping the values of names and ages and giving us with the index. So this is how the zip works. We have seen the enumerate function in our previous section of zip function. So better we will discuss the enumerate function here. So what is enumerate function? So enumerate is when we are dealing with iterators which also need to keep a count on iterations. So basically when we are iterating over the list, so we are also getting with the element the index of the elements. So the syntax is, I'll show you with an example. So syntax is enumerate, iterable, the iterable element, and the start. If you want to use it, you can use the start condition. So if you start with 0, the index will start from 0. If you start with 10, the index will start from 10. Okay, let's see with an example, like L1 equals to suppose we have 3 elements like A, B and C. Let's execute, and O equals to sorry, O equals to enumerate. So we are enumerating over L1. So since it will give us the enumerate object, so we have to use the list and the enumerate object. So as you can see that we are getting the element with the index. So you can see here that we are getting a list of tuples. So if you put a condition here like start is equals to 5, so the index will start from 5. This is 5 6 7. So let's execute this. So you can see here the 5 6 and 7. So this is how it works. So let's see how it works in the string. So suppose we have L2 equals to something dodo and let it read over it. So j equals to enumerate over L2. Now better you can directly print it. No, O equals to, and then try to print with the list of O. So you can see here that how it works in the string. So basically we are getting every element of the list. So this is how it works. Let's check how it works in the for loop. So suppose I'm using the same L1. So this is the L1. It is already defined, so let it be. So we are using a for loop for I and the element in enumerate over L1, and we are just printing the value of I, the index and the element. So as you can see we are getting the index with the element. So same you can use anywhere in your programmings, wherever you need the index as well as the element in the same time. It's actually very useful. So yeah, this is all about enumerate function. So now we'll see the list comprehension function. So what is list comprehension function? So it provides the much more short index for creating a new list based on the values of a existing list. So we'll see with an example how it works. Syntax is new list equals to uh, square bracket expression element for element in old list and your condition. What are the advantages of it? So more time efficient, space efficient than loops, required fewer lines of code, and transform iterative statements into a formula. So let's see with an example. So suppose I have L equals to 1 2 3 4, and I just want to fetch the elements which are divisible by 2. So let's see that as it says x for x in the old list. Okay, old list if x is divisible by 2 equals to 0. Okay, so now if I printf, so you can see this is the old list 1 2 3 4, and now we are getting the list with the values which are divisible by 2 using the list comprehension. So this is how it works. So how to use the lambda in list comprehension? Okay, so we'll use the lambda using the map. Okay, a map and using the list comprehension. So let's see that we have numbers is equals to map. How it is like, we have to give the function and the iterables. So function we are going to give using the lambda, so it's a lambda. Okay, so what we are doing is we are trying to get the numbers into 10 between 1 to 6. Okay, actually 1 to 5 you can say. So lambda I into 10. Okay, so this is the lambda function. Now the iterables. So iterables, we'll write it like using the list comprehension, that is the I for I in range 1 to 6. Okay, so this will basically give you a map function. Okay, now we'll convert it to the list. Okay, so if we'll try to print the numbers, you can see it is giving us the 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So basically this is I for I in range 1 to 6. This range will give the values of 1 to 5. Okay, and then um, this iteration is going here with the function and returning on the value 10, 20, 30 and 40. Okay, so this is how a lambda function works in the list comprehension. Now see the conditional list comprehension. List comprehension. So let's say that num is equals to, so basically here we are printing the numbers which are between 0 to 100, which are divisible by 2 and 5 both. So num is equals to y for y in range 100 if y divided by 2 is equals to 0 and if y divided by 5 equals to 0. Okay, so this will generate the numbers between 0 to 100 and it will return the number which are divisible by 2 as well as 5. So when we'll print this number, num, okay, so we are getting these numbers. So you can play around with other functionalities of it. Okay, by you can practice more on this. One more is that is the nested list comprehension. Okay, so how it works, so suppose we have matrix is equals to j for j in range 5. Okay, so it will generate the numbers 0 and 4 and the whole thing we will be using. Okay, so we are taking this one as a list and this whole will be as a list. Okay, for I in range 3. For actually this is not in, for I in range 3. Okay, so if you see the mat, okay, so you can see here that we are getting a matrix. Okay, and you can say that we are getting a list of list. So the values of it is 0 1 2 3 4, which we are getting from here, and it is the number of times which we have is 3. So this is what we are getting. So this is the nested list comprehension. So this is all about list comprehension. So now the generators. So what is generator function? So a generator function is defined like a normal function, but whenever it needs to generate a value, it does so with the help of yield keyword rather than using return keyword. So whenever a function has a yield keyword, then automatically it becomes the generator function. And generator object is generator object returns a generator object. Generator objects are used either by calling the next method on the generator object. So by using the next method, we can call the generator object. So let's see with some examples. Like we are defining a generator method. Okay. And we are just printing here is 1, or write it first value and yield. So in the generator object, in the generator function, we use the yield keyword to return the values, not the return keyword. So yield, you can write here the 10. The next print the second value, and this is the yield 20. Then print third value, yield 30. Okay, so this is our generator function. Now how to call it is like, suppose g is the generator object, so we can define it like zen. So g is defined, so how we can call is like, we have to write here next and gen. Next, actually not gen, it's the g, because we have already defined g as a object of it. So next g, it is printing the first value and it is returning the value 10 to z, and that's what it's printing here. Now when we again run this object next g, so you can see that after this it doesn't start with here, it start with the yield 10. So it is printing the second value and the 20. So when we'll do for the next time, you can see here that it started from here, third value and yield 30. Okay, so this is the main advantage of the generator functions. And after that, when you try, so you can see, since there are no values, so it is giving error here. But this also you can tackle it by the try catch, like try save it a value like s is equals to next z, and you can print here like s and catch, not catch, except print over. Okay, so since we have already executed, so you can see here that it is returning the over, it is going to the except and returning over. So when we execute it again, z, and let's try. So this is the first value, executing again, this is the second one, this is the third one. Now the values are over, so it is coming as over. So now how to use this in the loop function? Okay, so we'll see that. So here we are defining another function, def get. You can write the get sequence, and x, you can write here for I in range x, yield I. Okay, we have executed it. Now we are calling it seq is equals to calling this get sequence. Okay, get sequence, and we are just want to try up to 3 times. I mean the argument we are passing as 3, so we can call the same way next and seq. So you can see here the first value it is returning as 3 going here. In the range of 3, the first value is 0. The second value is 1. The third value is 2. And after that, it started giving error because we don't have it. Okay, so it first gave the 0, second 1, and the third value is 2. Okay, so it started from the value where it ends. So this is the main advantage of the generator. Yeah. So now we are going to discuss about the args and the quarks. So args is basically when we have to pass a number of arguments and we don't know that how many arguments we are going to pass, then we can use args. And it's a non-keyworded variable length argument list, but Quark is actually a keyworded variable length argument list. So what is the difference between these two is I'll show you with an example. So first we'll see the args. So args, let's see an example. So I'm writing a program to uh, add all the arguments when we'll pass from the function. So let's say that we are defining a function first. So just add, and this is the number of arguments, so we don't know how many. So we have to define it like this: star and the number, and the sum is equals to 0. Let's see, for n in num, and sum is equals to sum plus n, and then print sum and sum. So this is the function is defined. Now we are going to call like add 3. So we are passing a single argument here, and you can see it is returning sum as 3. So now we are passing 3 plus 4. So you can see here that we are getting the value as 7. Okay, so basically it's taking the first argument 3 and then printing it as at 3, and then second one, and then adding both and printing as 7. Okay, so if we want to print only the single thing, then let's, okay, so now it's adding these two and returning the sum of it. So 4, similarly if I'm adding 6, so it is returning the sum. So this is a number of arguments we can pass from here, and it is adding everything. So this is the use of the args. Okay, now the Quark is basically a keyworded variable length argument list. So keyworded variable is like in the variable we have to pass the like a name and the company and the city something. So with an example, if I define a function like def, let's say the name of the function is intro, and it is denoted by the double star, and let's say we have data, number of data. So here I'm just printing, let's not print here, and let's see for key and the value in data dot items. So actually the data, it will carry data and with its item, so it's a key value pair here. So print, we can write here the two values. So this one is this dot format key and the value, key and the value. Okay, so we'll execute this one. Now we'll fill the value of the data. Okay, so suppose intro, okay, I have written into, let's write it into, and pass here the if name is equals to something like Dodo, and the company is equals to uh, something like ABC. So uh, as you can see that f name, it is keyworded based argument. So you can see here that it is returning f name as Dodo, and company name is ABC. So you can add more arguments here, like city is equals to Bangalore. So you can see the city is Bangalore. You can add more arguments. Phone number is equals to something something. Okay, so the phone number is this. So this is a keyword base. So here we have the key and the value pair, but in the args we were only passing the value of it. So this is the main difference between these two. Hope you understand this. Yeah. Let's discuss about the decorators now. Why I'm showing you the decorators, because in the data science, when we will write the code to the model prediction, then we need some of the inbuilt decorators from the Django, or we will be creating our own decorators. So this is an important topic, and definitely we have to know what is decorators in the Python. Uh, so decorators is basically adding some new functionality to the existing function. So let's see how it works. Like I'm defining a function, like you can see, like make pretty. I'm just passing here the function, and let's say that this is inner, and print I got decorated. Okay, calling the FUNC the argument, and then return inner. Return inner. Okay, now define one more function, ordinary, and print I am ordinary. Okay, let's execute this. So now if we have to say that we have to decorate this, so create an object pretty is equals to make pretty, and I'm passing the whole function. Okay, this whole function, I'm passing it as an argument of this function. Okay, so this, and then just call this pretty. Okay, so you see that it called this function first, and then I got decorator, and then it called this function ordinary, which is saying that I am ordinary. So this is actually your decorators, but in the Python we write it in a different style. How I will show you. I'm just copying this one. Make pretty. I'm just pre. Let's make it make pre. Okay, and uh, this decorator, let it be ord. Or ordin. Let it be ordin. So this is the first function, this is the second function. Now how we write is, uh, we write it like uh, before this we just use at the rate and the function which is going to call first. So this is make pre. Okay, I executed this. Now how to call this is, we have to call only this function, then this function will be called, and then this will call this function. So let's see, p is equals to ordinary, ordin actually, ordin, Okay, or we can directly call modern. Okay, so you can see here it is also working the same way how this worked. So this is the way of writing the decorators. We can write a lot of decorators over your existing function to add some new functionality. So you can see here that it is printing first that I got decorated, and then it is going to this function and writing this I am ordinary. So this is a good method to add the uh, new functionality to the existing function. So yeah, now let's see the decorators with some arguments. So what we are going to do, we are going to take two arguments a and b, and if b is equals to 0, then we will be printing some messages, and if not, then we will be giving the value of a by b. So let's define a function, a def suppose smart underscore divide and func function, and then the same with def inner the variables a and b, the arguments, and then print let's say that dividing a and b. Okay, a and b. Okay, this is the print. Now if b equals to 0, then print, just write it here like cannot divide. Okay, else return function a and b. So we are returning a and b to the calling function, and return inner. Okay, so executed this. Now as the decorators, how we write is smart divide, and then def divide two numbers, that a and b, and print if everything is okay a by b. Okay, so let's execute this. Now take an object of divide. So divide, passing the argument like 10 and 5. So as you can see that dividing 10 and 5, so it is going to this function first, and it is checking that b is equals to 0 or not, and then if not, then it is returning print a by b. Okay, but if we make the b value as 0, okay, and call this, then it is saying cannot divide. Okay, division by 0. Actually we have to write it return, otherwise it's okay. So now it's saying that cannot divide, right? So this is the way how we can pass the arguments in the decorators.